Okay, so here is today's bedhead, even though it's a little late. I left my computer at my office at the church, so I didn't have it this morning, but so I don't get in trouble with Sandy or my mother, I thought we'd go ahead and do one and just put it out there a little bit late. So today we're in John 2, verses 1 through 12, and I'll just kind of read it and then babble about it. And again, I hope to get you guys' thoughts on some of this, because there's some open stuff on this as well. But okay, starting with verse 1, it says, "On the third day, a wedding took place in Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples have also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, 'They have no more wine.' 'Woman, why do you involve me?' Jesus replied. 'My hour is not yet come.' His mother said to his servants, 'Do whatever he tells you.' Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to servants, 'Fill the jars with water,' so they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, 'Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet.' They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants had drawn the water new. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, 'Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now.' What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. After this, he went down to Capernaum with his mother and his brothers and his disciples. There, there he stayed for a few days." I'm just going to kind of talk hodgepodge what stands out to me, and again, you guys add in some stuff too, because there's some really interesting things in here. A lot of them have been kind of greatly debated, or commentaries have different understandings as far as why Jesus would do this when it wasn't his time yet, and whether his mom pushed him, or how those things worked. Whether or not the wine was real wine, if it was just grape juice, because then we get in the whole alcohol thing. Just a few things. One thing I note is that, to me, it's absolutely real wine. There's no reason for the bridegroom to take and say, usually you let everybody kind of get drunk a little bit before you bring out the cheap stuff and they don't know any better. But you brought out the best. So we're talking real wine, which is kind of interesting that Jesus' first miracle has to do around something that might be a little scandalous in some church backgrounds or whatnot. But again, I think the biggest thing that's debated is, why would Jesus' mother want him to do this? He has clearly said it's not his time yet. Why do you involve me? So the question is, with him obeying his mother, did he do something wrong from a God standpoint? And I don't think he has. He has a certain time and a certain hour as far as reaching out into the world. And he is aware of that. His mother obviously wants him to move for whatever her purposes are. All I know is, if I told my mom, "Woman, why do you involve me?" I'll probably get smacked. No, I'm just kidding. Mom doesn't smack me, but anyways, probably get a look. So it's kind of confusing. Personally, I see a few different scriptures where people do things that might not be what we expect them to do, because they're in submission to leadership. They're in submission to authority. One instance that comes to mind is Paul taking and knowing that he's going to get arrested when he goes to Jerusalem in Acts. And he gets to Jerusalem, and the apostles want him to go through a cleaning ceremony with other brothers to show the people that are upset with him in town that he's not negating the law. Even though he's preaching fulfillment of the law, he's not negating the law. And why that purification ceremony would not necessarily be needed, because it was fulfilled by the law. Paul was a very big advocate of that. While he was obviously prepared as he talked to others to be arrested and killed for Christ, if that's what it took. So he didn't have any concern as far as trying to jump through circles to please people. But because his authorities, the apostles, had said to him, and he was under the under-shepherding of James and the apostles in Jerusalem, when they wanted him to do this, he did it, because it didn't hurt anything. Even if he didn't necessarily 100% on board with it, it wasn't against something that God was doing. I kind of see a similar thing here. It wasn't that Jesus was going against anything God said. It wasn't God said, "Okay, you can't do anything until this particular moment." He wasn't sinning, but he was in submission to his mother, which really kind of teaches us, I think, quite a bit as far as how we treat our parents, and the authority that we have there. Again, as as adults, and especially married adults, you have your own, where you leave your mother and father and you're united to your spouse and you have your own household and those responsibilities. But we're never released from respecting our parents, of taking their counsel and following that. So that's what we see Jesus doing here, at least from my opinion, is that his mom wanted something done that didn't go against what God wanted. It was before his full time, but it wasn't against it. And so he went ahead and did this miracle for the sake of the wedding, but also for another purpose that we find at the end. It was to reveal his glory, and also from that revealing of the glory, the disciples believed in him, which again is something we talked about a little bit yesterday. We come and experience Christ. He reveals his glory to us. That's the Holy Spirit part. That's something that we can't do for others. We can lead them to the Lord so that they can experience the Lord and his glory is revealed, and then they have a reason to believe. It doesn't work all the time, as far as where people come from or how they view things. They have their own free will. We see that he went to Capernaum with his mother, who was a believer, obviously, with his disciples, who just said was believers, but also with his brothers, which we're going to find as the gospel goes on. His brothers did not believe that Jesus was the Messiah. Maybe why now they're kind of watching things and they're kind of baffled by this whole miracle that they've seen. But we're going to see that there's very evident places where they did not believe Jesus was the Messiah, that they actually were embarrassed by him, tried to stop him, and tried to get him to shut up for the family's sake, which didn't work until after Jesus died and came back to life and then appeared to them, and then they became believers, as well as great Christian heroes of the faith and leaders. So that's kind of the thoughts off of this. Again, there's different ways you can perceive that. That's my thoughts, what I see as I read through it. Feel free to add yours, again, either Facebook or YouTube. So that's our moments today. Tomorrow we go into Jesus clearing the temple courts, and we'll jump into there. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Be blessed.